David Hatter. David Hatter's an aspiring
Okay, here it is. Here's the... I have to end that conversation before she'll start a new one where I can get the other side quest out of her.
Poor dear just can't get a break. I overheard
It's
him
a little bit
talking about
kludgy, but I didn't have to leave and come back, so I'm not going to complain about it.
Secret societies and creatures that found themselves dealing with inner beasts and persecution by elder monsters. Sound reminiscent?
So we just kill anybody who's even vaguely like an urban fantasy writer? They're making another Share Bears movie? A movie about the game industry? He stole my idea.
It's about Kindred. The details of his story were too insightful.
That feels like something Cthulhu would say.
I think someone's working with David. A Kindred who doesn't realize.
I mean, it's a little bit weird that the games industry specifically was the one that sprang to mind first, but
also, like, I think it's supposed to be kind of sarcastic, but I think she's saying that completely sincerely.
Death. I'm afraid poor David's big break. The screenplay he's worked so hard on must be destroyed.
But the writer himself gets to walk.
Must be executed. I know David.
It's his contact who has to die.
David, and I'm too close to do what needs to be done.
Right, his contact is presumably a supernatural creature who's leaking this for some reason.
Right.
You'll have to take David's screenplay, and somehow you'll have to coax the name of his source out of him. Once you found out who, kill the traitor. But do not touch David. David works at the Lucky Star Motel.
So we've got some other business at the Lucky Star Motel anyway.
He loves to talk about his craft. I'm sure he'll talk about his screenplay. It may take some persuasion to get him to give up his collaborator's name, however.
I've got like 7 dots in that, it'll be fine.
After this is over, I promise you'll have my complete attention.
I'm not in this for attention. I mean, I guess if your attention counts as XP. I was promised a blood doll, but I guess I don't get her because I made a lot of noise shooting things up. Do I have? I do have enough to buff my wits. Bam. Extra defense. Enough lockpicking that if I take my jacket off and also put on a skirt for some reason, that will allow me to lockpick just about anything. So I think we are at the point now where we can just start building up XP to unlock our endgame Tremere powers. The 3 is really disappointing, which is why I've been putting it off. But the 4 and the 5 are both great, so... Like, the 3 gives you an armor boost, which is occasionally helpful. But, it's also a blatant Masquerade violation, so you can only use it in, you know, specific combat areas, plus you can only... You know, it's a... costs a decent chunk of blood, so it's the kind of thing you only use when you've got a bunch of blood packs on hand that you can burn like your entire blood meter, fill back up, and then burn through it again.
Right.
Which, in fairness, you know, we'll want to be able to do that in the final encounters because they are just massive combat gauntlets. But, where's the Lucky Star Motel? Is it? There it is. It's the one with the giant hotel sign. I still just... Like, as much as it was, like, a fuck-up that I forgot which dialogue options would talk her down, I like Cthulhu's arc with Samantha.
Hey, baby. Need company?
I'm about 40% of the way to needing company. Hey there, buddy.
Sorry, no vacancies. Writer's such a tarnished term, you know what I mean? It's like every other guy says he's a writer, right? Like, you write a letter, you're a writer, you know? It's like, what I do, that's screenwriting.
Oh my
right?
god.
I encapsulate the essence.
Okay, I've changed my mind.
of
We can't kill this guy.
all right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like a blacksmith with pens, right? I'm a welder of montage. Does a writer write, or does he just like ink the flotsam and jetsam floating in his subconscious into a 120-page piece of film genius? But you know, most of my subconscious is filled with old horror films, so that's what I write mostly, I guess. Me? I'm like looking to redefine the vampire movie, okay? Like, tons of people make vampire flicks, or popular characters, but me, I'm gonna be doing the real deal. Like, not only
So what do you think of LA as a setting in general? Like,
believable.
I like LA as like potentially as a setting, but I also see like
A good writer always
New
does those
Orleans as
counts.
like a setting for a vampire, like, or an urban fantasy game. Though I guess that's kind of obvious.
I should give you one of my completed
Obviously,
novels.
Houston is an option since it is a supernatural location in and of itself.
You do? Man, that's fantastic.
We've
I
been
can give you
driving
a
for a
script and
while.
promise to keep it
Yeah.
What does that sign over there say? Let me. Yet, as in some necropolis you find, perchance one mourner to 1,000 dead.
I really can't talk
So
about
there,
it.
worn faces look deaf and blind, like tragic masks of stone. With weary tread, each wrapped in his own doom, they wander, or sit fordone and desolately ponder, through sleepless hours with heavy, drooping head. I think we're heading in the right direction.
How are people supposed to read these signs in time to make a turn?
But we are headed in the right direction. New Orleans is cliche for like a urban fantasy location, but I think like there's a lot going on there that's
You
cool.
say cliche, I say classic. Like,
Yeah,
you're definitely not taking anyone off guard, but there's a reason why it's so good for that.
like
I think LA is great if you want to do the vampires as celebrities angle that I really like, but you know, that's obviously
My work is
that's a specific angle on, you know, the idea of the most American kind of aristocrat. I really enjoy it, but you know, there's a perfectly good, you know, if someone is like, I don't like that interpretation of vampires, then it's like, well, that's reasonable, and also there is not a whole lot else to, not a whole lot other reason to pick LA. Which is funny because Bloodlines is set in LA, but does not really take that angle. You do get a little bit of that here in Hollywood, but only specifically in Hollywood. They play around with the idea that, you know, everyone in LA is an aspiring screenwriter or actor or director here, but it's all very self-contained. When if you're going to have LA, that feels like it should be your theme. You know, the vampire as celebrity. You know, there's a nightlife that's probably doesn't know that vampires are vampires specifically, but where one of the perks of being a vampire is that you're part of the in-group, and all the mortal clubbers know that you're one of the important people. There's a, you know, there's wealth and power that you get just for being a vampire. And, you know, you also get a flock of mortal hangers-on who are in the know, and who are hoping to become a vampire if they hang out with, you know, with a vampire, and, you know, sort of trying to ride their coattails and get discovered, and who are, you know, sometimes ritually devoured when they fail to please their masters. So yeah, like, I think doing LA in that style, our skirt is completely messed up, but luckily we have pants on now, so.
In my opinion, children should only be allowed in places
More
with
flatbread and
happy
olive
meals
oil.
and
And take back this Chardonnay and open up a Chianti. Let it breathe for 20 minutes and then bring it out with a ziti. Okay? Wanted to know what? Interrupt me while I'm working? Do you understand that this is an important opening, and I, emphasize I, am going to make
so
or
he could just be
possibly
a terrible
break
waiter
this
and he'd give it a
restaurant?
bad review.
Hello. Now go get yourself some onion rings or hot wings or whatever it is you eat. The refined
People,
palate
mostly.
of true gourmand is, to put it in a language you
So he
can
probably
understand,
tastes good, right?
trying to decide if this
I would
place is
imagine
thumbs
so.
up or thumbs down.
Like, hey, buddy, want a date? Let's go somewhere private together.
Me,
Tommy Flayton, the food authority of Los Angeles, food critic for the biggest paper on the West Coast, radio personality for the KTLK, Chower Hour. Maybe if I reviewed more Pancake Huts, you'd know me. Oh, thanks.
It's weird there's no blue options here,
You're
but okay.
wasting my time. Oh, hey, waiter, I asked... I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
There's
How
the blue
so?
option.
You know, now that you mention it, the gnocchi was a bit cold, and the ravioli might have been store-bought. Also, the decorum's a bit lacking, isn't it? This place
Also,
is
the
just an
door is
overpriced
ornamental. You
cafeteria.
can't actually
No
open it.
stars. Yes. I'm going to write
This
a
game
review
isn't
that will
set in
destroy
Houston,
this
though.
restaurant.
Oh, hey, look, the
Sure
Pizza
that
Surf
is to
headquarters.
die for. See, that's
There's
what I
no way
would be
in.
saying if it had been served yesterday when the tomatoes were fresh.
Pizza Surf is, as loyal listeners will know, our sponsors, the best pizza option for peasants who need sustenance. Pizza Surf.
Oh, hey, it looks like they might have gotten a new slogan. Pizza Surf, you cannot escape. That's probably fine.
I don't know why, but I feel like that might just be like a special brand for their Houston franchise.
Fair. I do like New Orleans. Like, it is the classic with the interview, but like it's a relatively old city for the United States. You get that sort of mix of the French and Spanish and Native American and African and sort of U.S. Southern culture. You can do like Southern Gothic, like that sort of old style aristocracy. You have a lot of like supernatural history that is really deeply embedded in New Orleans history with the New Orleans voodoo, Marie Laveau, Delphine Lalaurie. There's a lot going on in New Orleans that fits pretty perfectly for a vampire, which is probably part of the reason why Anne Rice chose to set it there. I think she also lived there at the time, but it makes sense to have supernatural. I think the problem you might run into is that it is a much smaller metro area. I could see New Orleans having like a disproportionately large supernatural population, since it was like one of the biggest cities, or maybe even the biggest city in the United States for a pretty significant period of time before it started to lose its importance. So I think you could maybe justify it having a larger than it should supernatural population, just of like sort of inertia from like, this used to be the center of the world, and these are like several century old supernatural creatures, but is a much smaller metro area.
Well, yeah, because in the mortal human population, you get self-sorting that occurs when kids grow up, graduate from high school or college, and then move to a place that suits them. Obviously not ubiquitously, but this is how populations tend to congregate, and that's how you get very polarized states. Because the real horror is elections, but the thing is that for vampires, the old population never dies off, or at least not at any steady or consistent rate, which means that you get vampires who in 1820 departed the service of their sire, and they moved to the most happening city in America, and that was New Orleans. And now, 200 years later, well, damned if they're going to move now. They've got their big fancy house here, they've got all their vampire intrigues are here. I mispronounce things frequently enough on this show that I should point out that one was intentional. Yeah. New Orleans, it has this cultural mesh that's very good. It makes it very easy to get a wide variety of characters in one spot. It just feels kind of a cult. There are more, and I haven't checked this statistic for a while, so, don't quote me on it. But there are more people who list their profession as vampire hunter in New Orleans than any other city in the United States.
That is amazing.
But, obviously, it's not a very high number, and these people are. I'm sure I've never really looked into it, but they've got to just be Ghostbusters, right? But yeah, there are people who are professional vampire hunters in New Orleans, and well, I'm sure every now and again, you get some random person who manages to make that work in Wichita or something. For the most part, yeah, that is a cottage industry in New Orleans and nowhere else. So, yeah, New Orleans, definitely a good place for vampires or just urban fantasy in general. New York's always a good option just because it is so metropolitan. There's so many different cultures there. Very high population density, which is great for vampires.
I do wonder, it seems like it's potentially harder to do a unifying, theme, which could be an issue.
Yeah, if you're going with New York, it's probably better for a episodic monster of the week kind of a thing. This always makes me kind of bittersweet when I come here for this quest. Which is that, I've cleared out every thin blood on this beach one by one. Some for good reasons, some for bad, and now I'm here to finish the job.
What do you want? No. Please.
Now we're gonna do our best not to kill this guy.
No. I didn't mean to.
I think Kochula would at this point, though.
I understand what I am. I didn't know.
I mean, she tried to talk her friend out of it. Although, I mean, that friend was... She killed the friend to prevent a Masquerade violation, right? Because that friend hadn't done anything yet, and so she was trying to talk her out of it before it was that.
I'm so sorry.
So it is a question of, I imagine Kotula's kind of going over it in her head whether she wants to kill this guy.
No. Oh, God.
What generation are we?
It never specifies, and there's a popular fan theory that Kane is the cab driver and is using his powers to boost your generation over time. Because, we do go from, we seem like we're a 12th, 13th generation, barely over thin blood at the beginning, but then by the end, we seem like we're some kind of 8th generation, not quite Methuselah, but pretty ludicrously badass.
Please, find your heart. Please, find your heart. You could let me go. I promise. I would leave Los Angeles. I swear. Oh, God. No.
Now, on the one hand, she killed one of her old friends, but can't she kill someone who is, literally begging for his life?
He broke the Masquerade pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a straightforward violation for a real dumb reason, in fairness.
Thankfully, I have my handy shotgun with shotgun shells that are dipped in sunlight.
Dipped in sunlight? You're pretty beefy there, aren't you, buddy?
He should have gone down in one hit. I feel like that would have been more poignant. It's not like this is an actual fight.
Yeah, he's not even attacking, so... And it's not like there's an option to back out now, right? So...
I've shot you a couple times. You're using up all my bullets, so I guess I'll just let you live.
Oh, hey, I didn't even lose humanity for that. I guess it's just okay
See,
to
I
kill
knew
a
it was,
guy.
I knew it was the right decision.
I mean, I'm still going back and forth over whether or not that was the most in-character thing to do. Like, that's definitely the thing that Cotula would come here intending to do. I'm just not sure if she could actually pull the trigger on it once she...
I mean, she shot her friend in the back of the head. I feel like she's past the threshold.
And that's the whole thing, though, is that her friend's back was turned on her. She didn't have to look into her face as she did it.
Here's a scenario. How do you think she would handle it? So she's been asked to kill somebody, and she goes to this hotel, and she breaks into the hotel. The guy's begging for his life. He's an ACLU lawyer somehow. How does she respond?
I mean... See, the thing is, that guy did try to beg for his life. That guy would presumably think that she was a 17-year-old boy, and therefore would guess that she was part of some kind of alt-right Nazi cult, and would try and talk her out of it under those grounds. Also, there is a dumb insta-kill death here that I'm going to save for.
But she's not even blonde.
Yeah, that whole plotline never really came together the way I wanted it to, but there was the whole thing with, he was getting too close. It's funny because it was a Masquerade issue. He was getting too close to to finding out what, all the disappeared immigrants were being used for, and the answer was to feed vampires. And also other horrors, but... Which, yeah, we did eventually get to that plot resolution, but I don't think I ever really tied those two plot arcs, those two plot beats together properly.
Nope, because,
Yeah.
after he disappeared, you didn't interact with him again. Also, this is a complete hypothetical situation for Cotula, so I don't know what you're even talking about.
Just continuing the hypothetical. Just, in theory, that's why you would want an ACLU lawyer killed, right? Because... I have run out of clever jokes for the save game files.
We're just simple let's play. Oh, that was the final death.
Yep, that was the dumb gotcha death. Okay.
So why are we in the car park?
We are chasing down the serial killer who's going around killing all of his enemies from mortal life. There we go. Because his murderers are showing up in the papers, you see, and we can't be having that.
But is he a human?
What
He's
about
not.
the cars he's chucking at us makes him seem human to you?
I mean, the physics in this game is not amazing.
Fair.
Like, we kind of brushed into one and the car went flying, and we don't really even have super strength, so...
No, he is chucking them at us.
Okay.
It's, Yeah, so far as why we care, the real answer is XP, but, how do I get through this? Okay, I'm pretty sure this car is not supposed to be here. So we're just going to shove it out of the way with our 0 dots in potence, or in clout? Potence? I think it's potence. Yeah, that discipline that we don't even have. Hey there, buddy, I'm on a humanity drive. You want to do this peacefully?
Vampire! Stay the fuck back! I did nothing to you! What the hell do you care? I don't give a damn if you understand. Why? So you can pass judgment on me? So you can decide if those murderers deserve to be gutted? You'll never know how it feels, never! My family. children were butchered by small-time criminals just looking to rob a house, steal a car, take whatever. No sense to any of it. No plan, no ransom, just kill them because why? Because they were there, in the way? Not one of them paid. My whole family dead, my life gone. I'm supposed to let that happen?
I mean, it kind of already happened.
I tracked them down, hunted them, one by one, caught them all. The one you saw in Hollywood, he was the last of them. Revenge, justice, whatever you want to call it. All I thought about
I mean,
is taking these evil animals.
I'm not judging you morally, man. I'm just asking you to keep things on the down low.
I don't know. Butchering those bastards was the first time I felt anything since my family was torn from me. I'm sure there are others out there whose crimes have gone unpunished.
And now this is a problem.
At least I put it to use. How many vampires have used their abilities for a just cause?
We've been using our powers for a just cause, protecting the Masquerade, right?
I think we're too far gone to be trying to make those kinds of excuses.
I can't turn my back on the evil in this world. I won't answer to anyone, and you'll never take me alive.
Again, I don't like that the game pushes you to want to necessarily preserve your humanity. I feel like abandoning it should be a completely viable option.
Yeah, it's part of the problem with the Sabbat being a bunch of anti-Masquerade psychos, is that, you know, having a Sabbat option where it is, you know, embrace the beast within, like that's opposed to both the Camarilla and the Anarchs. They both value humanity, which is fine, but, you know, with the Sabbat being this psychotic antagonist-only faction, that means that answer is then taken off the table completely. And, yeah. But yeah, we now get to play with the shittiest of all discount werewolves. Like, he's got a full-on war form here, but, yeah, so there is one more gangrel in this game. He's also not really the, archetypal gangrel, although he's closer to it.
You just should spam that all day.
I'm gonna keep spamming it until I'm full up on blood. Theoretically, I could kill him this way, but, nah, at some point, I've got to bust out a gun and start doing some real damage. Not that he'll take a whole lot. He's got fortitude, so he isn't going to take a whole lot of damage from my gun, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's basically going to be... Well, actually, do I want to spend some on firearms? I mean, I want to get some more thaumaturgy at some point. Yeah, we're going to do this. What, was he not in range? Is he not immune to that? I think he's immune to that. That's annoying.
What were you trying to do?
I was trying to blood purge him, make him vomit blood out of his eyes.
Always a good time.
But yeah.
Like that there's a convenient line of fire preventing you from leaving the area.
Right. Which will, of course, disappear as soon as he is out of HP. Yeah, his fortitude is... Let me see what this shotgun can say about that. Yeah, that's much better. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but okay. No, go ahead, reload it all the way. We got plenty of time. He ain't faster than us. He does not have celerity, so So yeah, this thrilling boss fight demonstrating the power of even a fairly low amount of mastery of thaumaturgy.
Kind of annoying how you're just running around in circles and just, like, you'll inevitably win, but you have to spam this thing again and again.
Yeah, he's got a ton of HP, but his defenses are very strong, his offenses are shit. Which, you always want to do it the other way around, alright? Enemies with lots of damage but little HP, they are terrifying and quick. Which, best thing. There's also, there is the fan quest, is to try and track down that La Sombra guy. That we saw earlier. Here we go, 10 XP. Let's get ourselves another dot in thaumaturgy. Now we've got Blood Shield, which we cannot use in public.
Lame.
Yeah, just like, it looks dorky too. It like just coats us in blood. Magic bulletproof blood.
Need a ride?
Your blood isn't bulletproof?
Is yours?
Maybe that's just a Requiem family thing. Look, I was imprisoned in Arkansas for a reason, clearly.
I mean, I assumed it was for the occultism, like, as a decision that you made. But is this? Are we digging into the dark backstory of Requiem? Are we discovering that you were originally a victim? You were imprisoned in Arkansas for the sins of your blood and turned to occultism to seek escape?
Yeah, that sounds accurate. Probably. It's as good of an excuse as any, right?
I mean, it makes you more darkly mysterious, so I'm in favor of it. And we are now going to solve the zombie quest. Mainly because there's a potential solution that I find kind of hilarious.
Oh boy. Is that a wolf howling?
Might be a coyote?
We should go investigate that for no reason.
Unfortunately, even with headphones on, I'm not sure what direction it was coming
Well
from.
there, Sugarpuss. Might want to think about knocking next time I damn near blew your head off. Thought you might be a zombie. Who else would be waltzing in here in the middle of the night? Name's
Vampire?
Romero. I'm the caretaker here. Well, that is...
This is just a walking zombie movie reference because he's talking like
Although that is part of my
Romero.
job.
Yeah, no, this whole thing is just
I'm here
references
for
galore, because he's in the Hollywood Cemetery, you see. So it's the perfect place for a movie
See,
reference.
it's like this. Every night around this time for the past, several months now.
Now, he is some kind of
I've been
ghoul.
getting
I'm
up
not
the
sure I
nerves to
know
stroll
whose
down
ghoul
Hollywood
he
Boulevard.
is.
No one
Possibly
knows why,
Isaac's?
but they're working on it. Till they figured out they needed a volunteer.
So he knows that
for all the
vampires are a
steps forward.
thing, so...
Problem
Yeah,
temporarily
yeah,
solved.
no. Like,
The Baron's happy. I get to shoot zombies. And guarantee I get my blood for another month. I've carved out a nice niche here. Shoot them, blow them away, frag them, whatever. The
those all sounds like the same thing.
Sometimes
I guess
it's
frag
something
them
nice
probably
to
involves
do to
grenades, but...
You're telling me. As far as I know, I'm the only person around Hollywood who considers marksmanship an art. A lot of the stiffs around here used to be asshole celebrities, too.
I'd make a joke about the guy who played Ash, but I don't know who he is.
By the way, hey, you wouldn't be interested in watching the place while I go handle some business, would you? I'm not supposed to leave, or it might end up in a zombie holocaust or something. Like one time...
That would be
Scott
Bruce
snuck in.
Campbell.
Ooh.
And I'm pretty sure he's not dead, but...
He is not.
You know, I know you're technically dead and all, but god damn, you are one
yeah, there are
striking looking piece of
3
ass.
ways to
You are
solve
still
this.
breathing.
Number 1, you can
Oh my
just
god.
Still be
blow the
interested
zombies
in,
away yourself. Number 2,
I can try, but it's not going to be easy with the twins.
If your seduction is high enough and you are a woman,
So anyway,
you
I'll be back in about 5 minutes. If you should see
now,
any
I'm trying to make
zombies
sure I
in my
navigate this
time,
dialogue
let
sheet
me
correctly to get
know.
us to number 3, which is
Now,
the
they're
entertaining one.
dead, So you're either going to have to hack them up good, or shoot them in the head. Just don't let them bite you. Well, I don't know. What are you thinking? Sometimes a man needs the kind of release putting a 44 slug through his uncle's brain doesn't provide. You know, temporary affection. Really?
Or
You will? Great.
you can just be like, you realize that every neighborhood in LA has like 18
FYI,
hookers in it,
I like
right?
a little, stat. Appreciate it.
Which I love this for being just like the most mundane way of solving this problem. It's like, this actually, like, this is a profession. I can just go and get you a professional real quick. Wait here.
So he wanted to not shoot zombies, so he could go jack off?
I mean, get laid with someone somehow. It's not really clear exactly what he does if he leaves, but, what was that sound effect? It sounded like some kind of laser cannon.
Oh, sorry. I left the safety off on mine.
Yeah. You are not a sex worker. Sure. Now they're scarce. Ah, there's one.
Hey, honey, looking for a date? Okay, I'll play along. Where's this friend of yours? Oh, no way am I going in there. What kind of freak are you?
What if I said it again, but with blue
I don't know
text?
why I should believe you. Well, okay. But I'm gonna get really pissed if you turn out to be some psycho murderer. Let's go.
So, yeah.
Well, that was pretty easy.
Yep.
Hey,
I do think it gives you one less
very
XP
nice.
than killing the zombies
What
yourself,
can I give
but
you for the assist? When you fire, keep your eyes on the target even after you shoot. And use the sight, that's what it's there for. And style doesn't count for jack if you can't hit anything. Keep that Glock to the side crap in the movies.
this feels like it should be your first dot
Look
in
at the time.
firearms, but it can be anywhere from
Me
1 to
and,
4.
Girl here. Got some couch Olympics to compete in. So if you don't mind.
I hope you pay her very well. This is not a great place to be fucking. Oh, was that only our third dot? I should have bought a dot in firearms before then, because, you know, they get more expensive the higher up they are. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not sure I'm putting any more dots in firearms anyway, because I do want to get, at minimum, the 15 XP for the 4th dot, because it just makes it much easier to restock on blood having the 4th dot in thaumaturgy.
What does the 4th dot do?
It basically causes someone's blood to explode out of their body, and then all of their blood goes to you at once. You get like 5 blood
fun.
points out of it.
Fun.
But yeah, I mean, I think you were right about the street signs, because we do appear to have found our way out of Houston. I think we're actually... I mean, Houston is interconnected by a bunch of highways anyway, so this is not the first time I've thought this, but the city lights do very much appear to be behind us, to the extent they were lit at all. I'm getting off track. Like, there's desert around us. I think we're good.
Yeah, excellent.
And okay, next exit is the way to Waldrug.
Well, do you know what Waldrug is?
I know what it isn't. It isn't in Houston.